7 wonders of the ancient world. What has survived to this day? This is an expression familiar to everyone. These amazing creations of human hands have become a symbol of ancient genius, beauty, architectural skill, and aspiration to eternity. But what actually represented these structures where they were? What is their fate? And what of them has survived to this day? Let's go on a historical journey and tell you in detail about each of the 7 wonders of the world. Pyramid of Cheops, Great Pyramid of Giza. The Pyramid of Cheops is the oldest and the only one of the 7 wonders of the world that has survived to this day. It was built around 2560 BC on the Giza Plateau, not far from Cairo, and became the tomb for Pharaoh Khufu, Greek name Cheops. The pyramid was originally 146 meters high, but over the millennia it was reduced to 138 meters due to the loss of facing slabs and erosion. The base of the pyramid is almost perfectly square, with a side length of about 230 meters. It is surprising that more than 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing from 2 to 80 tons, were used in the construction of the pyramid. Modern scientists still argue about how the ancient Egyptians were able to erect such a colossal structure without modern mechanisms. They assume the use of ramps, ropes, and block systems. But there is no exact answer yet, and the Pyramid of Cheops remains one of the greatest engineering mysteries in history. The pyramid's inner corridors and chambers are no less mysterious. These include the Great Gallery, the High Chamber, and the so-called Queen's Chamber, although there is no evidence that it was used for this purpose. The pharaoh's burial chamber itself is located deep inside, and an empty granite sarcophagus was found in it. Neither mummies nor burial treasures were found in the pyramid, giving rise to theories of looting in antiquity, or that it was originally a temple of initiation rather than a tomb. The facing slabs of white polished limestone made the pyramid shine in the sun, and it was visible from afar. According to legends, it shone like a giant lighthouse against the desert backdrop. Modern archaeological excavations around the pyramid reveal traces of working settlements, which speaks about colossal organization of work. Pyramid of Cheops for more than 3,800 years remained the highest construction on the planet. Its precision, grandiosity, and mathematical proportions still amaze researchers. Some theories link its construction to astronomical landmarks, suggesting that its sides are oriented to the 4 sides of the world with remarkable precision. Today, the Great Pyramid of Giza is not only an archaeological monument, but also a symbol of human aspiration to immortality. It inspires tourists, scientists, writers, and filmmakers. Despite its age of more than 5,000 years, it remains a mystery that continues to be puzzled over by modern researchers and history buffs. Hanging Gardens of Semiramis. The Hanging Gardens of Semiramis are one of the most mysterious wonders of the world. Their existence is still controversial among scientists. Is it a reality or a beautiful legend? According to legend, the Hanging Gardens were erected in Babylon by order of King Nebuchadnezzar II for his wife, Amytis, who missed the green mountains of her native Media. The structure consisted of tiered terraces with trees, flowers, and shrubs. The gardens were supposedly located on a huge stone platform supported by vaults and columns. Water for irrigation came through a complex system of channels and lifting devices, a prototype of shadow or water screws. Each tier was arranged so that from the upper terraces hung vines and greenery, creating the illusion of a hanging garden. The description of the gardens was left by the ancient Greek historian Strabo, noting that they were admired not only for their beauty, but also for their engineering genius. Some modern archaeologists hypothesize that the gardens could be located not in Babylon, but in Nineveh, the capital of the Assyrian Empire, where traces of large water structures and terraces have been found. However, no definitive evidence has been found. There is an opinion that the myth of the Gardens of Semiramis could have been created due to descriptions of luxurious palaces of the Middle East decorated with gardens and fountains. Nevertheless, the very image of the hanging gardens became a symbol of utopian beauty and harmony of man with nature. In ancient times, this place was considered a paradise among the dusty and hot streets of Babylon, an embodiment of the power and might of the state, capable of doing the impossible. The statue of Zeus in Olympia. The statue of Zeus at Olympia is another of the wonders of the ancient world, an embodiment of the majesty and power of the main god of the Greek pantheon. It was created in the V century BC by the outstanding sculptor Phidias, and installed in the Temple of Zeus in Olympia, where the Olympic Games were held. According to the descriptions of ancient authors, the statue reached 12 to 13 meters in height, and was made of wood lined with ivory and gold. Zeus had a crown of olive branches on his head, a symbol of peace and victory. In one hand, he held a statuette of the goddess Nike, the personification of victory. In the other, a scepter with the image of an eagle. The face of Zeus expressed at the same time kindness and power, majesty and calmness. Around the statue were numerous decorations, bas-reliefs, and paintings. Phidias is said to have been inspired by the image of Zeus described by Homer in the Iliad and the Odyssey. The statue's gaze was said to penetrate the soul of every visitor. Its splendor made a stunning impression on all who saw this creation. Unfortunately, the statue has not survived to this day. After the prohibition of the Olympic Games and the decline of pagan cults, the statue was moved to Constantinople, where it was destroyed by fire in the V century AD. Only descriptions by ancient historians and images on coins and vases have survived. However, its fame has survived the centuries and inspired many artists, sculptors, and architects. The Temple of Artemis in Ephesus. Once upon a time, on the coast of Asia Minor, in the rich and lively city of Ephesus, stood one of the most marvelous creations of human hands, the Temple of Artemis. It was not just a sanctuary, but a grandiose work of art, which combined the grandeur of architecture, richness of decoration, and the power of faith. Artemis, the goddess of hunting, wildlife, fertility, and patroness of women, was especially honored here. People from all over the ancient world came to Ephesus to worship her, leave gifts, and ask for her protection. The temple was built in the 6th century BC on the money of the powerful Lydian king Creos, known for his unimaginable luxury. The construction was led by the architects Hersiphron and Metagen. The grandeur of the temple amazed even the most sophisticated travelers. Imagine a huge building, more than 100 meters long, with hundreds of marble columns, each of which rose almost 20 meters. The vaults and walls were decorated with the most skillfully carved bas-reliefs and sculptures. Inside, amid the glow of torches and the aromas of incense, stood a huge statue of Artemis made of gold, wood, and ivory. It was a place where man felt like a grain of sand in the face of something great and eternal. But the story of the temple is not only about greatness, but also about tragedy. In 356 BC, flames burst into this grandiose beauty. Herostratus, a man whose name has become synonymous with insane vanity, set fire to the temple just to make history. Ironically, on the same night Alexander the Great was born and was later offered to rebuild the temple. Ephesians, however, refused the generous offer of the great general, saying that the temple dedicated to the goddess cannot be built by the hands of one man, even so great. Temple of Artemis experienced destruction more than once. He rose from the ruins, became even more beautiful, but nothing lasts forever. The final blow was dealt by the Goths in 262 AD. They broke into Ephesus and plundered the shrine. Since then, the temple has never been rebuilt. Centuries have passed, and huge stone blocks were shoveled for the construction of other buildings, and the greatness of the temple dissolved into legends. Today, where once shone one of the most magnificent monuments of the ancient world, there are only fragments of columns and fragments of the foundation. But the imagination still paints pictures of what it was like: gleaming marble colonnades, the light aroma of resin and incense in the air, the rustle of silk robes of pilgrims, and the still gaze of the golden Artemis, ruler of this world of beauty and harmony. Mausoleum in Halicarnassus. The Mausoleum of Halicarnassus was built in the 4th century BC as the tomb of the Carian ruler Mausolus. His wife Artemisia decided to immortalize her husband's memory by building a monumental structure, which later became a nominal name for all such tombs. The structure reached a height of about 45 meters and was a multi-stage pyramidal structure decorated with statues, bas-reliefs, and columns. A chariot with the figures of Mausolus and Artemisia towered above the mausoleum. The mausoleum was decorated with the works of the best sculptors of his time: Scopas, Bryaxide, Leochar, and Timothy. Their creations amazed not only by their skill, but also by the depth of symbolism. The fate of the mausoleum was sad. It stood until the 13th century, when it was destroyed by an earthquake. The remaining stones were used for the construction of St. Peter's Fortress in Bodrum. Today, only ruins remain of the mausoleum, but its image lives on in culture and history. Colossus of Rhodes. The Colossus of Rhodes is one of the most famous wonders of the ancient world, a monumental statue that symbolized the greatness and power of the city of Rhodes. It was not only an artistic, but also an engineering achievement of its time, which became a symbol of victory, fortitude, and strength. The history of the Colossus begins in 304 BC, when the island of Rhodes, located in the Aegean Sea, became an important maritime and trading center. During this period, the inhabitants of Rhodes won a significant victory over the Seleucid army, who were attempting to take over the island. In honor of this victory, it was decided to erect a huge statue that would symbolize both the city's strength and gratitude to the gods. The sculptor Chares of Lindos was appointed to design and build the monument, and he created one of the most ambitious and admirable statues of the time. The Colossus depicted the sun god Helios, the patron saint of Rhodes. The statue stood at the entrance to the city's harbor, and its magnitude would have amazed anyone. The Colossus was about 33 meters tall, which is about twice the height of the Statue of Liberty in New York City, if you don't count its pedestal. It is believed that the statue was made of bronze and had iron beams inside to strengthen the structure. The statue stood on a grand pedestal, which was also an important part of the composition. Helios was depicted as a powerful god, with his arms raised, symbolizing triumph and victory. Some sources claim that Colossus held torches or other paraphernalia in his hands, adding additional symbolism and light. The Greeks were known for their masterful sculptures, and the Colossus of Rhodes was no exception. It became the pride of the city and an important landmark for sailors approaching the ports of Rhodes. The Colossus became a marvel, attracting travelers and gaining a reputation throughout the ancient world. It became famous not only for its size, but also for the perfection of its execution. The craftsmen of the time used unique methods to create such a grandiose figure, and its architectural features remained a mystery to many who tried to replicate such work in the future. But like many other wonders of the world, the Colossus was not eternal. 56 years after its completion, in 226 BC, Rhodes was hit by a massive earthquake that caused the statue to collapse. Although it was destroyed, its remains remained in place for nearly 800 years, and many historians claim that they became another source of fascination for people of the time. Legend has it that travelers could admire the ruins of the Colossus by walking between its legs, if they could get there. Today, although the statue is long gone, its majesty and influence on culture and art continue to be significant. The Colossus of Rhodes has inspired many artists, architects, and sculptors throughout history, and the idea of giant monuments standing at the most significant points of cities has survived through the ages. The statue of Helios remains an important symbol not only of ancient Rhodes, but also of the entire ancient world. Alexandria Lighthouse, Pharaoh's Lighthouse. The Lighthouse of Alexandria, also known as Pharos, was one of the most famous and majestic wonders of the ancient world. Built in the 3rd century BC on the island of Pharos, at the entrance to the harbor of the city of Alexandria in Egypt, this lighthouse became a symbol of the engineering genius and architectural prowess of its time. It played a crucial role in ensuring the safety of navigation, and at the same time became one of the most striking and recognizable architectural objects of antiquity. The idea of building a lighthouse arose during the reign of Ptolemy II Philadelphus, 283–246 BC, when Alexandria was already the largest cultural and commercial center in the Mediterranean. The lighthouse was built on the island of Pharos, which was located directly at the entrance to the city's port. and was to serve not only as a navigational landmark, but also as a symbol of Egypt's power and prosperity. Ptolemy the South commissioned the famous architect and engineer Sostratus of Cnidus to build this grandiose structure using innovative architectural and engineering solutions. Work on the lighthouse lasted several years, and it was completed around 2 BC. Its height, according to various estimates, was between 100 and 130 meters, making it one of the tallest structures of its time. The lighthouse was built of stone, and its design included several levels. At the top of the lighthouse was a statue of the god Poseidon or Helios, depending on the sources, who was the personification of strength and protection for seafarers. The Lighthouse of Alexandria was an incredibly complex and multi-leveled structure. It consisted of 3 parts. The base is a wide square platform that served as the foundation for the entire structure. This level housed various offices and a statue. The tower is the lighthouse building itself, which was a multi-layered colonnade that gradually tapered towards the top. It was the largest structure of its kind in antiquity, and its height remained unrivaled for many centuries. At the top of the lighthouse stood a statue that served not only a decorative purpose, but also a symbol of protective power. According to one version, it was Helios, god of the sun, or Poseidon, god of the seas. Light emanated from the statue's hands, symbolizing safety and guidance for seafarers, which is also supported by legends. The functionality of the lighthouse was to provide visibility for ships approaching the harbor, especially at night and in bad weather. The huge fire that burned at the top was visible from miles away and served as a landmark for sailors, warning them of approaching dangerous waters. To increase efficiency, mirrors were used to direct the light over long distances, which was a very advanced technical achievement for its time. The Lighthouse of Alexandria lasted for over 1,500 years. But like many other wonders of the world, it was not eternal. In 1303 and 1323, Egypt was hit by devastating earthquakes that severely damaged the structure of the lighthouse. However, it still continued to stand for several centuries despite the damage. Eventually, in 1480, the Mamluk Sultan Kate Bey, in order to protect the harbor, built his fortress on the site of the destroyed lighthouse, using stones and other materials left over from the old structure. The Lighthouse of Alexandria has left an indelible mark on the history of architecture and engineering. It was one of the greatest achievements of the ancient world and influenced subsequent generations of builders and engineers. In particular, the lighthouse inspired other similar structures around the world, and the concept of lighthouses persists to this day. The lighthouse was so famous that with its destruction, a whole legend of its greatness arose, and its image was used on many maps and in literary and artistic works. In a number of sources, the Lighthouse of Alexandria appears as a symbol of strength and indomitability, and its light has become a metaphor for human efforts to overcome the dark and dangerous waters of life. Today, we can only guess at its true greatness, but its existence remains one of the most vivid and powerful symbols of the ancient world. what has survived to this day? Only the Great Pyramid of Giza remains a witness of the ancient world in the full sense of the word. Only ruins remain of the Temple of Artemis, the Mausoleum in Halicarnassus, and the statue of Zeus. The Lighthouse, the Colossus, and the Hanging Gardens have disappeared, leaving behind only references and legends. Modern researchers continue to study the places where these wonders were located and find interesting artifacts confirming their existence. But perhaps their true significance lies not only in the grandiosity of the structures, but also in the fact that they remind us of the greatness of the human spirit and the desire to leave a trace in eternity.